Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my Fire Emblem Thracia 776 low Turncounts Ironman playthrough. I'm Lolo Centonia, and today I'm joined by, once again, my good friend Ada.
Hello.
And we're joined by special guest Mekkah.
Hey, how's it going?
While waiting to get commentary started, we've already got all our unit preparation, all our battle preparations done. I'll flash all of the units on screen just now. Mekkah, would you like to tell us a little bit about what you do on YouTube?
Mostly play Thracia. For like a long time I've played Thracia. I also play other Fire Emblem games sometimes. But I will always love this game with all my heart. But yeah, I enjoy playing Fire Emblem in almost every way possible. I think I've done everything between trying to beat a game within 1 or 2 hours to grinding Edward for an entire stream for like 3 to 4 hours. So I've done everything and everything in between, all sorts of challenges, all sorts of stuff. I think a lot of people have heard of me, but for the few who haven't, you know, it might be for you, it might not be, I don't know.
Yeah, for the few who haven't, I'd suggest, my suggestion would maybe be the Fire Emblem Pitfall series. I used to be very bad at Fire Emblem, and after watching stuff like that, I got a lot better, to the point where I can plan out stuff like this, and it made me enjoy the series a whole lot more. So I'd highly suggest something like that.
So last chapter, we didn't have a reliable way to get the S drink from the thief because thieves have a 50% chance of just not moving on any given turn, and we couldn't really reliably plan around it. So usually that S drink would go to Safi so that she could walk skip this chapter for us, but because we can't deploy Safi, she's exhausted, we have to do it manually.
Well, not exhausted right now, but she would be by some point in these following chapters. We would have to play one of these chapters without the warp staff, and this is by far our preferred chapter, because we'll only lose around 3 or 4 turns. Orson here has just gotten his promotion, which is very fortunate. Mekkah, would you like to tell us a little bit about what that means for him?
I mean, I'm going to assume that Orson has done quite a bit of work in his playthrough so far, but he gets a lot better with his promotion. His move stays the same as far as I recall. I just find that his reliability and bulk gets quite a bit better from promoting. And this chapter, I think he'll be able to show it off well because he's one of the best people at finding these armor knights that are in center room. They have like random movement unless you're in terms of range. And of course, he's also very good against these soldiers. Orson, that's one of the unique traits of like being good against them with 1 to range without being Asbel. And some of them have javelins, so that's helpful as well. And his wrath and critting is very good in general, and he pierces their high defense. There's not much more to say about Orson, I think, other than just he kills a lot of stuff very reliably, and this one that's very in demand. Right? I mean, I might have missed something, but yeah, that's why I usually use him. Sometimes I would hoard the Pooji because he's like, I want to save it for later, but if he gets to these enemies, I think he'd be very good. I do know some of these archers have killer bows and longbows, so I wouldn't be surprised if you put a scroll on Orson to make sure he doesn't die. Fortunately, longbows don't actually have 3 range in this game, so he does actually get to counter all these, even if they like have a longbow. So that is fortunate. I usually promote Orson in like 8x if I play that chapter. I know you didn't, but that's where I usually promote him because that's a lot of like great opportunities for promotion for him. But because you skip that chapter, I'm assuming this is like a better place for him to start showing off his muscles.
Yeah, we got him to level 10 in chapter 8, and so really, we forgot a ton of promotion, ton of animations.
That's okay. This is a good animation.
Yeah, we got a little bit of animations. We had them on for chapter 10 because it was kind of tense at the end, with all the big enemy phasing and stuff.
Yeah, I think you might suffer a bit from success here because I think Orson has too much defense to get attacked by some of these soldiers.
Oh, he'll be just fine. We don't need to kill all of them. In fact, we do want... Money management isn't a huge concern in this playthrough, but we would like to get around 10,000 gold by the next chapter. And so managing to capture some of these enemies, such as the archers who have 2 bows on them, we can sell their inventories for some nice cash, which is appreciated. We'll see a little bit of Selfini usage. I have Leaf in Karen's back pocket, so I can have him supporting Finn from a distance. See if he gets a crit. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Even so, Dagda will be able to finish off here. So long as he just hits 1. Good.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Classic Dagdar level up.
Oh, he doesn't need level ups. He surpasses level ups. Sure, I will take that heal experience on Asbel.
So Orson's gonna fight all these armor knights. Like I said earlier, it's 1-2 range, which is his own, because some of these guys do have 1-2 range, and not many people are capable of killing a guy with that much defense on 1-2 range. And the automatic crit enemy phase, I think it really doubles its effectiveness against enemies with high defense, because crits in this game, it's probably been told already, but they double your attack, they don't just double your damage, so they're much more effective against enemies that have high defense. I know these armor knights, they will move towards you and like attack you normally, like most enemies will. If you stand in their range, they'll just go to attack you, like the ones in the corridor are doing. But the ones that are not in range, they have random movement AI, so they just kind of move around in that place where Fred is. And that can sometimes cause problems depending on what exactly happens, but I'm assuming Lolo's planned around that. I also know that the Paladin Fred doesn't move, fortunately, so we don't have to worry about him. Wait, is that Wrath Nana?
No, that's not even Wrath.
That's just not good.
Crazy. We've not really invested in her. But she did manage to hit enough speed that she doubles even with her Wrath Sword.
That's
if
a lot
those
of speed, actually.
That's really unfortunate that those enemies are going back there. We should be just fine. I don't think that's going to slow down the time count, but it's a bit annoying that there are those guys moving all the way back there. Unfortunately, Orson got poisoned, which is technically a mechanic in this game.
Wait, is that plus move Asbel? I just realized.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Yeah.
His first level.
This is fast level.
So busted.
This runs easy.
Let's do Iron Man with reliable strategies. And then Orson and Asbel both just get plus move.
The plan accounted for not getting move levels. But, you know, we take what we can get.
We'll take what we can get.
You take the good with the bad.
It's not just movement that he's good on. Outside, getting out of Chapter 5, he was like +2 or 3 on pretty much every single stat. Which for a unit like
Asbel's kind of good.
She's called Karen because she's always carrying Leaf.
Come on, dude.
Think about it.
We're gonna kill Fred, oh god.
Kill Fred? I would never.
That's what it said. And then in the doc, so it has to be true.
It's okay, we can adapt our strategy. We'll see.
Ah yes, trying to get to these middle squares.
We'll have Leaf Finn fuck up this guy. By doing this, we're gonna have Orson move 1 tile further. He might get targeted by... I don't think he gets targeted by more enemies, but... Oh, it does! Okay, so he should be able to target every single enemy on this enemy phase. He's gonna be facing some hit rates around like 40% or so. I think we will turn on animations here because it's one of the more tense moments. But if he does die, it should still be fine. You can see, he's facing like around 30-ish hit rates. Let's see if he crits here. No. Oh. This is... Okay, this is fortunate that Asbel got a movement star then, because I can heal him. Will I be doing that? I might be. But that might end up using... They might target him. He has about the same defense as Orson. It's hard to say.
I mean, if the Javelin ones go for him and the other ones go for Orson, that's probably better for both their survivability.
It would be better for the survival, but Asbel will be enemy phasing 2 soldiers here, and we'd rather not use Graf Caliber there. Remember, his thunder is pretty low. He would have to get... Orson should be fine here, because he only has to dodge 2 of them total, I believe. And he's facing around like 30 hit, so he should be just fine. We're keeping animations on to bring a bit of tension. If he dodges this, I think he's immediately safe. Yeah, so I don't think he has any chance of death anymore. Probably speed up.
Just spontaneously, all tension resolves. Oh no.
Yeah. I mean, hey, we'll take that.
All the lances are scary.
I mean, here, for example, he would be facing 28 hit instead of 27, and that's quite an important benchmark for Orson to hit in this playthrough. Right, we should talk about the guidance requirement.
Yeah, so there is an event here that triggers if you put Leaf in that rectangle space that Fred and Finn and Orson are hanging out in. I forgot what exactly it's called, but Kemp basically goes like, "Oh, you activated my trap card in America," and then he spawns two ballistas that start firing at Fred and your units, and it becomes very tedious. And to avoid this, we can simply kill Fred. Sad as it is, because he's a recruitable character, but now he's not anymore. Now he's dead. And if you do that event that I just talked about and finish the chapter within, I want to say 30 turns.
Yeah,
30.
30.
You go to a guide chapter, 11X. The chapter normally comes after this, and you get to recruit Olwen and get some treasure and do some other fancy things. But apparently Lolo doesn't feel like doing that because we're skipping it.
We don't have time for all that.
We don't have time for Olwen. It's worth noting in a Triple S playthrough, you do have to go for full recruitment, and so what you would do is you would still have to go to 11X, but you don't necessarily have to recruit Olwen. You can instead recruit a character who was mutually exclusive with her later, so you two-turn that chapter where Alfred appears on turn 2, and then you just, you leave Olwen in prison. She'll be fine. Trust.
Yeah, for about 30 turns.
But how will you get Olwen's magic ring in chapter 12 if you do all that?
It's true, it's sad. But we will be just fine. The later part of this map is, it's important to make a note of how much movement all of your units have and how many turns they would need to get to where they want to be. Oh, okay, thank you, Dagda, I guess.
So you don't have to rely on movement stars.
Yeah, so you don't have to rely on movement stars, of course. So he's carefully counted out specifically which tiles characters like Leaf, who has to seize, Lithis, who has to unlock a door, and these guys here. We need to know exactly where they can be so that we can set up all our enemy phases perfectly and seize by turn 7. You may have noticed that Bishop in the throne room, he has a Thunder Tome, which is appreciated since we're so low on generic tome uses for Asbel. He also has a Physics Staff, which is, again, much like the first ones that we got, very important for grinding staffers, since it grants 2 staff experience, rather than just 1 or 2, for example. We'll try and do everything that we can to capture that bishop, but unfortunately he's in range that he could just try and kill himself at Orson. That's why we provide Dagda as a juicier target, because he can't counter attack at 2 range right now. This means that the bishop is going to try and attack Dagda, and we can capture him on the following player phase.
Dagda have a scroll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I had to make sure. Dagda has like 100% chance of success, but like I love the animations. We got we got a ton of them.
Hoping for the warrior crit.
Get him. If only. Here we're gonna attack Kemp. It's not gonna go too well. We're not gonna be able to kill him. Kemp is actually invincible at this time. He appears later in the story, so he's not able to die here. But once you attack him, he will leave the map on, I believe, the following enemy phase. So we do have to attack him at least once with somebody, even if they die in the process, just so that he can leave the map and Leaf can seize. By placing Asbel here, he's also going to counterattack that mage there, and that's quite good because we're going to have to get rid of him so that Leaf can seize. It looks like right now Leaf would actually be fine to seize. I wish I'd known about that.
I know, right? He's gonna be fine. He might save a turn here.
But yeah, by getting rid of that mage and Kemp, we're able to have Leaf seize the chapter next turn. We have Orson there. He can just run in there and unlock that chest, which will get us the Torch Staff, which is quite useful later. Normally, Lithis wouldn't have gotten that move star, so he would have just unlocked the door this turn.
But if you have Livis unlock the chest instead, then Orson could have taken the bishop and he could capture another mage. Right?
I've got good news for you.
I guess not. Oh.
Don't you worry about it. We have quite the meaty Asbel right here.
Oh, that's true. Big Asbel.
Having this extra thunder use, this thunder tome here, isn't going to be really important. Leaf can seize anyway, so we will still go for it, because that's just a nice little bit of cash. Oh. Wait, he gets 4 chances here? Yeah, he did get a cast. Alright, thank you Mekkah for that extra thunder tome.
That's why I'm here.
Anyway, that's chapter 11, cleared quite easily in just 7 turns. In a warp strategy, in this current route, we would still want to get the torch staff, meaning we would probably warp, we would probably do a double warp, where we warp Dagda carrying somebody like Asbel. He would drop in turn 1, and then by turn 4, we would have Leaf warped in, and Dagda and Asbel would have made their way to the chest with the torch staff. And that would be about 4 turns, or you could do it quicker, in around 3 turns if you were to just leave the torch staff. Anyway, we have more fog. That's fun.
Can I give you some trivia about this chapter?
Yeah, sure, what's up?
So this chapter takes place in a forest. It's called Dakia Forest, and it's a very special forest with very special trees, because these trees not only are hard to pass through with your units, but apparently also warp uses grow on them, because you're willing to use a warp use to get out reliability, which I find quite amazing. Did you know that? It's amazing.
It's kind of crazy.
Warp uses on trees.
Yeah, so
I mean, I guess, did you have like extra warp uses because you did warp skip the last chapter?
Yeah, our warp strategy works out just fine. It's worth noting that if Asbel and Leaf have different con stats, and we alluded to this a bit earlier in chapter 10, we would go for a different strategy where we warp both of them instead of Finn carrying Leaf. And then we would have Asbel try and capture the boss. This is a lot more reliable. I forget the actual stat. But it's more reliable and means that Finn doesn't have to face a big enemy phase on chapter 10. Again, we want about 10,000 gold for this chapter for some stuff that we're buying, and already you're seeing how easy it is to get some money in this game, even without capturing, just on the merit of having items from characters that you recruit, like the Scrub Squad from chapter 9 gave us lots of nice items.
2/3 of the Scrub Squad.
What might you mean by that?
Also, you have the Paragon manual still. Wow.
We
Would expect
do.
it to go to Safi.
Yeah, typically that would. Yeah, we just like to hoard our items a bit. We don't know if we might need it later, so I thought it might be a good call to keep it. Remember to not watch Fire Emblem Pitfalls. Yeah, let's get started then. The only other thing that happens here is you buy shit with Karen. Here I'm using Nana to sort of align myself. I'll be walking Finn, but I can't see where, so it's good to have a point of reference like this.
Yeah, I've generally found when trying to find a spot in Ironman that it's kind of lenient, actually, because you don't need to be a precise spot. You just need to be somewhat close to the house where Salem is chilling. And if you like warp on top of the house, you'll just like be put in the correct spot afterwards. So unless you're like really far away from the house somehow, you're generally going to be fine.
Something convenient is it will actually also display a little cross if you try and warp onto like terrain or where a unit already is. So you can kind of like fiddle around with the cursor and figure out where you are.
I'm assuming Karen's going to be buying wind tomes.
Yeah, wind tomes and some more door keys. Move into these guys here. They're called Kolho's boys. I didn't realize that. They're not like brigands
Kolho's
or
boys.
bandits. They're his boys.
The boys.
Me and the boys about to raid.
Anyway, this is the boss of this chapter. Again, we want to rescue him, capture him, sorry, and that will unlock a guidance chapter where he becomes recruitable. Let's make sure. So by standing here, they're going to be able to support Nana when she tries to get a little shot in. We didn't mention, Salem has a sleep staff on him. This is the first of the status staves that we've seen. It allows a unit to, from a distance, put any enemy to sleep. This is really useful, so we really like this, but unfortunately Salem's going to try and use it while he's still an enemy. That's one of the reasons it's so beneficial to warp here, because we can make sure that he only uses, like, at most one use of it. The AI likes to target players who have high health. So for example, Salem here, if he tries to use it, he'll target Dagda. This is really fortunate. He has a chance to simply not use his action, much like the thieves did in chapter 10. So here he's simply not used it. If he did use it, he also has 6 skill like Safi did, so he would have a 16% chance to just miss it. But yeah, him missing that is really fortunate, because that means that even if Finn does fail this capture here, we should be safe to just take an extra turn. That said, we will be warping Nana here, because Finn normally would be facing a kind of shaky hit rate, and his success condition is that he either hits all 4 of his attacks, or that he lands 1 critical hit. By warping Nana in, we get him to ram that 99 hit, and that increases his chance of success here by a whole lot. Okay, let's turn on animations and see what we get. Again, we have to hit. We land every single hit, or land 1 critical hit at any time, and then we'll be able to capture Salem. Easy.
Easy. Hog.
So normally, if you want to warp Nana, you would find that Finn just has around 75% chance of success, which really isn't acceptable for something like this. If you were to revise the route, it would be possible that you could maybe do a strategy which adapts. For example, there on turn 1, he didn't use the sleep staff. So maybe you could make a strategy which, if he doesn't use the sleep staff, or if he misses it, then you instead just warp, you don't warp Nana, and you see if Finn can get a hit in anyway.
Did we mention Asbel capture?
Yeah, I think so on Preps.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, that was a fairly easy chapter, nicely warp skipped. We have 3 uses of the sleep staff, which is fortunate. So we're leaving here in just 2 turns. There, Nana also managed to get us 5 wind tomes and a couple door keys, which is nice. This means that we're not going to have to worry about Asbel's generic tomes like we did last chapter for pretty much the rest of the run. Anyway, since we captured Salem, we can also move into 12x, just in case you didn't have your fill of Fog of War. It's a good thing that we're at 20 health. That's nice and fortunate. You won't have to use an S-drink. Okay, fine. I'll admit it. I made a mistake. I should have given Paragon to Safi. She could have just gotten a bunch of levels, gotten skill early. We'll make sure that she has the Paragon manual on her this chapter, and I'll make sure I don't forget to use it. I'm sorry, Safi. I should have believed in you. I'm gonna go ahead and immediately warp amazing boss killer Lara to the throne room, and she's gonna kill the boss so that we can warp Leaf, and then we can seize the chapter. In reality, we talk to the boss with Lara. This means that we can recruit him into our army, And also, we got a special class change. This isn't quite a promotion, Lara just changes class here. But we really appreciate this because while a thief is nice, what's much nicer is a unit who can refresh any other unit's action. Here she turns into a dancer, and what this means is she can, in a sense, replicate the utility of any other unit. So for example, where, until now, we've been having to get by with just one A-rank staffer, we can effectively have 2 A-rank staff actions on a single turn with Lara for refreshing Safi's action. She recruited Pan, who's a promoted thief. Again, he comes with the kind of utility that Lithis has, though that's not hugely important now that we're out of chapters like Indoors Manster. What's worth noting is that he has the Kingmaker. This sword has a brave effect, it has a pretty nice amount of might, and most importantly, it grants charm. The charm skill here is like what Nana has. It allows a unit to grant plus 10 hit and avoid to any unit within 3 tiles. So it sort of acts as though you can support any unit in your army. We're also joined by Salem, the boss of the previous chapter. Mekkah, would you like to tell us a little bit about Salem and what he's going to be doing?
Yeah, so Salem's the first playable Dark Mage in the entire series, I believe, which is probably the least notable thing about him in this playthrough, but I think it's some fun trivia to mention. He's also the second real staff user you get. Like, Nana doesn't really count in my opinion, because she never really gets high staff rank. But he's a lot more like staffy in that way, because he's starts with C staffs, and he's also like at a point in the game where you have access to some higher level staffs to get his staff rank up, like Sleep and Torch and Magic up, or I think it's called Ensorcel in this one.
Yeah, Ensorcel.
And yeah, all that is just great because chapters like this give him a lot of free turns to get the staff rank up there. And sometimes it's also just handy utility, like maybe someone needs more magic, or maybe you want the Torch to be, like maybe you want Fog of War to be lit up, maybe you want to sleep someone, like in this chapter, there's not a recruitable character that can put to sleep if you want to recruit him. So all that just gives him staff rank and also provides utility for your army. And then usually for me around the route split, it might be different for you. He hits A rank staffs through a promotion and some staff grinding, and you have another warp user. And I don't think we need to explain how amazing having that is.
Yes.
And then in addition, ooh, murder?
A little bit of murder.
Murder.
Just
a little bit of murder. Just a little bit. And to round it out, I also find that Salem is a bit different from most staff users in that his HP is a bit higher, so he's a bit more bulky. He does have like kind of low luck, so he gets crit a lot if you don't give him a scroll, so you gotta be careful with that. But he's a bit more bulky, and sometimes he can be actually good in like combat situations. But it's like very situational. Generally, it's all about A rank stats that he can reach.
Yeah, we also have Tina here, worth noting. While we failed to get a stamina drink in chapter 10, Tina plays Fortnite and she comes with a monster energy right in her inventory, which we really appreciate. Tina has some unique staves to her. For example, the Thief Staff. She can steal any enemy unit's item so long as she exceeds their magic stat. And she also has the Unlock Staff, which sort of acts as a long-range lockpick. So you can see that she's sort of just... She is a staffer, but she has the utility of a thief, which is really interesting. Not really something you see elsewhere in the series. She also has 5 movement stars, meaning that on any given turn, she has a 25% chance of acting again, and she also has 1 skill. So quite common for Tina is that she'll miss, or with her high luck, she'll double with a staff, but then it's fine because she gets a movement star. She's quite a favorite of mine.
Yeah, I feel like Tina is a bit of the staff version of Ronan, but with more extremities, right? Because I always say about Ronan that his damage output is usually somewhere between 0 damage to 2 misses to like he attacks 8 times, gets a movement star. I don't know, gets an adept somewhere, and just does massive damage instead. And Tina is like that, but even more extreme.
Kind of like some of the chapters that we commentated with Bopper when he was on. This chapter, now that we've recruited Pan, all of the enemies are actually just trying to retreat rather than actually giving us any trouble. So again, this chapter is entirely based on your movement. This again makes it really fun to plan. So we'll be going and trying to get everyone to where they need to be in around 8 turns. There's also Trude here, another recruitable character. He's kind of unremarkable. He's just a guy. He's just a Myrmidon. You can use him if you want. We're just kind of gonna let him go do his own thing. We don't really need to bother him. He'll just leave the map on his own. something we're looking out for with Salem is we'd like for him to get levels of skill and health. That's skill, which is very good. His growth for those stats are really good. You can see that with the scrolls we've given him, he has 90% health and he has 75% skill. Though we did see with Safi, maybe that skill can fail us. He'll be using Torch and Ensorrel in this chapter. If he ever manages to miss with the Torch staff, that can be quite fortunate because it can help out with his fatigue management in the next few chapters.
Something funny I would like to add about Trude is that his whole niche is that he comes with Nihil to negate enemy skills, which is generally not good, but there's a couple like very tiny situations, right, where it can be useful. But then they put another more spectacular and more funny Myrmidon in the chapter right before that has a personal sword that also gives Nihil, and that just completely negates Trude's entire reason for existence, in my opinion. Although to be fair, I don't think we've mentioned Maria a single time up to now, so maybe Trude is the more notable one between the two. I'm gonna take a bold guess that you're not getting the turn 25 Master Steel and Warp, the turn 30 Warp.
No. In order to recruit Tina, we need to get not just Leaf to the throne, but we have to get Safi there, and she'll talk to Tina because they are siblings. This is why we can't just easily warp Leaf to the throne. It would be possible to skip Tina, but we want to recruit her, and that means that we have to get both of them to the throne. Flooring this chapter around 8 turns with the strategy that we're using.
I'm glad that you're holding on desperately to that Paragon manual, though.
Oh, of course. I mean, I might use it. I might need it later, though.
Are we having second thoughts about giving it to Safi?
I am a little bit. Like, I mean, she's a pretty high level already. Maybe we could give it...
Feels like the time has passed, you know?
To Salem? Maybe he could use it.
I think it would help him get his skill up, probably.
Probably. We could try that out. We could see if we can get that working.
I'm looking at the commentary notes, and it just says, hold the Paragon manual for Sed so he could be more reliable last chapter.
Yeah, because if we get him to 20 magic, then we don't have to use a Pure Water on him. And we really like to... I mean, in the final chapter, you don't know when you might need those Pure Waters, so really, it's good to just be safe. Asbel just flexing a little bit with his with his +1 movement. He doesn't really need that, but okay, Asbel.
So why did you deploy him? Because I usually use this chapter to like reset his fatigue a bit.
Yeah.
I usually did the last chapter though.
Chapter, so that's fine.
Hey, build
nice.
Strength. Just the stat you wanted, right?
I'm not gonna bother moving Pan. I'll just stick to the strategy that I have. It'll be fine.
So you're skipping like all the chests.
Oh no, we'll be fine.
So that was Dance.
Yeah,
for the first time. She just does a little spin, and Dagda goes again.
She does a little spin, and Dagda says, you know what, yeah, I do have 14 movement.
I think one amusing thing about dancing in this game is that in most games it's tempting to just like keep dancing always, even if there's nothing productive to do, because it gives you XP. But in this game there's a trade-off in that it builds fatigue, so you don't always want to dance.
It's a little bit more questionable if you always want to do it.
Whereas at this point my mentality is like, okay, that means I'm gonna dance 99 times in one chapter, get it over with, and it should be level 20.
This is quite unfortunate. Salem's failing to hit skill right now. What's his promotion? He gets 1, right? Okay, he gets 2. So we just need to get 1 more skill from his 2 levels. Maybe it's prophesized and we are just gonna be failed by the 75% skill growth once again. But even if he fails to hit 10 skill, it should be fine next chapter still. So now we're fortunately in range that we can start unlocking all of these chests and get some nice useful items. There's a chest in the bottom left, which is out of vision range, but we'll be able to get we can put it in range with Dagdar again. First off, let's recruit Tina finally. She's funny. Tina's gonna go ahead and eat a funny little book. Now she has Paragon.
Oh, oops.
And
Accidentally used Paragon on
she
Tina.
gets
Damn.
double experience.
Oh, no.
So she's gonna get a level from pretty much doing whatever. Okay. So we have 3 more staff actions on Salem. I need to ask an important question. Oh shit! Do I lose a turn here? Yeah, I might lose a turn. Ideally, I would have lost. I would have used Torch. Ideally, I would have missed Torch once by now, and I would be able to use it here. But it's actually broken, and I don't have a target to use in Sorolon. I could use the Sleep Staff. That'll save me a turn. I might do that. The Sleep Staff can help with reliability in a later chapter, but since it's at 3 uses, what do we think? Do we save that turn, or do we save a little bit of reliability? It's already reliable, so I think it's fine.
I always hoard everything. So
Sure, just don't use items.
This is turn
I mean,
7.
the extra sleep is like... There's a solid chance you just get something else to cover that reliability anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Plus, it's a whole
like,
turn.
It's like my backup. This is a whole turn save, so I will just use the Sleep Staff here. Please manifest me a skill level, Ada, please. Okay, good.
Sure.
There you
so
go.
I think he's hit his threshold just fine now.
Easy.
I control the levels.
You do. Thank you for that. Ideally, he gets at least 1 health from this next level, as opposed to 2. So we'd like to hit that 90% growth on his health next turn. That means that he won't have to use Tina's monster energy to attend upcoming chapter. There we get a Master Seal from that chest. Again, Tina has this Unlock Staff, which can act as a long-range lockpick. We want to get quite a bit of experience on her, so we're going to go ahead and just try and unlock that chest. That she gets it first try. It's actually fortunate if she manages to miss. Okay. Do we have anything else we want to unlock, maybe?
Classic
Nothing else in
Tina.
range.
It's just in the bottom right, but that's out of vision range.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the only one.
I love the unlock animation.
Yeah, it's cool. I like all of Tina's animations. I like the steel one, the thief stuff.
Pew!
Hey, Ada.
Oh, so you can level 10 that way down. Easy.
Yeah?
Can you manifest me a health level, please?
What?
90% health?
Roll
me a random number below 90.
90%?
You think?
No.
No?
No. No.
If he misses, we're gonna have words. Okay, good.
Damn it.
Let's see if I can get that. I don't think I can get it into vision range, but maybe. We'll go ahead and get that promotion. I remember that Dun Dun said that looks a bit like a clansman when he promotes. So I'm somewhat hesitant to promote him, but we do really like ace staves, so we'll get by.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah.
He is a little bit sinister.
Where else do I need that unlock stuff? I appreciate that unlock stuff, but I don't need it.
Just miss with it.
Yeah, just missed Lamao.
True. What is the problem? Easy double miss. Easy movement star. She already got a move star, never mind. Okay, so I guess we have an armor slayer to work with now.
You mean gold?
Sure. So that is...
Actually, armor slayer kind of good sometimes, depending on what you're doing.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna... You know what, maybe that armor slayer will actually help in chapter 20. Yeah, well, we're all good. We'll go ahead and seize. So that was chapter 12X in a clean 8 turns. Anyway, let's jump into the next chapter. The final one for today, and another really quick one. I'm really happy with the strategy coming up. I think it's really cool.
I do like strategies like this one.
It's another one where it kind of feels like it's entirely just a little puzzle that you gotta solve. Yeah, now we play the little game of guess who gets abandoned.
Is it our fresh dancer?
It could be. Here we're starting chapter 13. This is another defend and escape map, where we want to get all of our units around the mountains and across the rivers to get to here, the city of Tara, currently being defended by Glade and 5 of his little buddies, I guess. These are generic units. They come with items, which is very nice because we can just sell those, but they are not permanent units. Even if you have them escape, they will not join you next chapter. Glade is the only unit who will join you here. Anyway, we don't want to go the long way, so Mekkah, would you like to tell us a little bit about how you would maybe go about this chapter in a sort of regular Triple S playthrough?
Yeah, so I remember from Donald's playthrough that the general strategy involves picking up Leaf with Karen, which apparently is not happening here, even though I expected it. I think we're using a different mode of transport, but yeah, in order for Karen to take the shortcut to the gate that Glade is defending, we would have her fly through a ballista range, and if she got hit, she's just dead. But that's okay, she just reset, but we can't do that here. So apparently we have to employ some kind of warp strategy instead.
Yes.
But I think regardless, there will be some arguing over people being left behind. I remember doing that with Fergus, with Don. I'm sure we'll be doing it again in this run.
Oh, possibly. So there, we had the warp staff broken, but we can fortunately Haman it just at the beginning of this chapter. I could have Hamaned it last chapter, but I wanted to show that it doesn't actually matter what health Safi has, so long as she levels at least 1 health at some point in the playthrough, then she will be able to get here unfatigued, whereas if she used it last chapter, she would have started at 20 fatigue.
Yeah, and there's another strategy that I like to use in this chapter sometimes, if you don't mind me rambling
sure.
a bit. So, this chapter has a weird trigger where it gets much more hectic, which involves the killing of the boss, if I recall, or
Yes.
a certain turn number. A lot of enemies the enemies on the map already will stop attacking, start fleeing, and so you'll get much stronger reinforcements from the north mostly. So, what you can do to cheese that is you can use the generic Knights and Glade to block the enemies from the south from reaching the gates, and they'll think they have to go all the way around, and that buys you some time. And then you use the generics and Glade to block the reinforcement spawns where these strong enemies would come in. And so you create a state where the enemies on the map already are fleeing, but the enemies that are supposed to replace them can't make it onto the map. And so you end up breaking the map in half. You can take your time, do whatever you want.
These generic units here are very fortunate to have, because if nothing else, they are units, and that means they can rescue, and they can take, and they can drop, and that allows us to do the strategy that we want to do here in the number of turns. It makes it all very possible, although a little bit tight.
I think what Dondon actually had to do was have these generics combined to kill Ballista, which sounds easy to do, because both their stats and the Ballistas fluctuate so much, and their hit rates are obviously very bad, despite, fighting a Ballista, not the most dodgy enemy ever. That actually still caused some frustration.
Yeah, Thracia stat generation it's something else.
I do like these generics though, because they basically come with S strings, when you think about it. I do like the strategy. This is very interesting.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite ones in the playthrough. It's very intricate, but it all works out just perfectly fine. Here, what makes this strategy a bit challenging is that we also want to get the Brave Bow. And the funny thing about archers in this game is that there are no good archers in Thracia. No good, just strictly bow.
Excuse me.
But there is a good bow. And so really, what archers are about is you don't like get their stats high, you just get the B rank bows, as Selfina has at base, and then any archer can be good. Any archer can be kind of busted, in fact, in terms of sheer combat. The Brave Bow here, it has incredible hit, it has incredible might, it has crit for no reason, and it has a brave effect. It's just kind of, they went a bit crazy on this one, because I feel it's justified. It's a bow, so it's not as good as the others for like capturing or anything. You can't capture or whatever. But yeah, we really appreciate that for some of the very rare instances where combat is going to matter in this game. Which of course, we've not really seen that for a while, but it'll come back. It's worth noting, if you were to park Glade on the... If you were to try and just like have Glade and his generics defend the escape point, then the main problem is those Armor Knights. They have battle axes, meaning that they have some innate crit, and you of course don't have any scroll over there. So if you try and play this warpless, these are your problem, and one possible strategy you can use to just totally remove that problem is you can have all the generics give their items to Glade, as we did, and then you can have them all dismount around here in range of the Armor Knights. And then on turn 2 enemy phase, they'll just capture them and they'll escape the map. Then you can just have Glade park on this escape point here, and none of the enemies can really do anything to him, because the only ones who are remotely threatening were the Battle Axe guys, who could potentially roll pretty high and land crits on him, and then maybe after a couple crits he could get killed.
Look at me, I am the boss now.
We were doing some particular movement on that previous player phase. What that means is we've created almost a perfect diamond to warp Salem in the middle of. The rescue staff in this game, which we got back in chapter 10, it will, as we said, transport a distant ally to an adjacent tile. However, it transports them to a random adjacent tile. In some games it is ordered, there's a sense of priority, but in Thracia it's random. So what you can do is you can create diamonds like this, with just one tile missing, and then you can influence where the rescued target will land. I'm sorry, I just want to address, I have like intricate instructions written out for this chapter, as I do for most of the chapters. I made a typo, which is maybe a bit more accurate than what I meant. I meant to write the Leaf Rescues Safi here. I wrote Leaf Rescues Staff, which, you know what, fair enough. I guess he does.
You know, I can see why Salem really needed skill now. I think I can make sense of it now.
Quite important.
Gotta hit that threshold. Also important that he gives away
Yes.
his carriage, because otherwise, you know,
one fewer unit
still
we
miss.
have to deal with getting out. And now, with our intricate setup, instead of arguing over who gets abandoned, especially since we deployed, all of the units that we deployed are actually pretty good. Of course, 2 A-rank staffers, Leaf we can't abandon, a Dancer, and Karen, Selfina, who, well, we'll be using her later, but she's not exceptional. But yeah, with this strategy, we can actually escape using 2 warp staves, a rescue staff, even having to use the Haman staff on turn 1, we get the Brave Bow, and yet we don't have to abandon any unit. So you can see that I'm incredibly happy with how I got this strategy working out and how consistent it is.
I'm very upset that we didn't abandon anyone.
Me too. I want to argue
okay.
about that, actually.
It's fine. We're gonna have some of the generics putting out a damn good fight outside the gates of Tara.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm assuming what's gonna happen is take, give, and then just cry.
What's fortunate about Karen is that she has low constitution, and yet she also has access to a mount. So she can, depending on the situation, she can be rescued very easily, and yet she can also rescue other units very easily. This is quite a niche that is only really replicated by Nana. We use specifically Karen here because Nana sees quite a bit of combat in and out of Munster, so there is the chance that Nana could have leveled Constitution by now. But Karen doesn't actually see any levels at all, so we can know that she has 4 Constitution. Okay, I actually wrote my strategy out a bit wrong here, but it still works out just fine. If I were to exactly follow my instructions, it would result in possibly catastrophe. I would end up not having Leaf escape this turn, but fortunately I spotted that, and yeah, I'll be able to escape just fine. So yeah, that's just 2 turns with 2 warps, Haman, Rescue, and the Brave Bow, and 0 abandonment. And aside from those generics, sorry guys.
No one is in awe of your strategic powers.
It's also worth noting, Glade, who joined us, he has an authority star, much like Leaf and Finn do. So we will be deploying him quite often, just for the sake of him providing a bonus by existing. Oh man, next time we're going to be playing Chapter 14.
Yeah!
I hope you're looking forward to that, Ada. Alright, thank you.
Oh, it's gonna be
Thank
great.
you, Mekkah, for joining us.
No problem.
Yeah, we'll take a second. We'll take a second. Anyway, see you next time. It'll probably be a lot more post-commentary. But we'll try and make Chapter 14 and 15 interesting. Alright, see you next time. Bye.
Bye.